this stretch here, 3 games in 5 days. Mercer had an impressive victory over VMI last Thursday. 97-91 was the final score in that one. Here's the starting lineup for the Citadel, presented by Roper St. Francis. As you mentioned, Jason, Hayden Brown not only playing today, he's in the starting 5.
And a couple of changes for the Citadel. Jerry Higgins as well as David Maynard getting the start.
Clark misses the opening shot. Hasse with the rebound for Mercer. And this is the starting lineup for the Mercer Bears, also presented by Roper St. Francis.
We talked about Jalen Johnson, but Felipe Hasse with the ball right now, another guy who's a huge factor, one of the better players in the SoCon.
Certainly is, and he's picked up his play in conference play. We'll talk about that more in a moment. That shot rolls off the front of the rim for Glisson, and now Higgins running point for the Bulldogs, leaves it for Maynard for a straightaway 3, and that's good for David Maynard.
I mentioned Maynard moves into the starting lineup. The regular starters at guard, Tyler Moff and Brent Davis, coming off the bench today, but Maynard has provided that here of late, had a career high against Western Carolina about a week ago, but he can do that from behind the arc, and we saw him play good defense on Glisson the first time down the floor as well.
Maynard's career high was 17 points against the Catamounts. Three-pointer is missed by Jalen Johnson. Brown all the way to the rim, contested by Johnson. Now he tosses it up the far side to Walker, bobbled initially. Comes around to Jones for a 3, and Roach pulls down the board.
The Mercer team very big. Jones is 6 feet tall. Everybody else at least 6'6" in the starting lineup.
Higgins with a blow-by.
Well, Jerry Higgins hadn't played a ton up until the Cobb Dillon Hammett Classic hosted by the Citadel, but when he came off the bench, he really brought some energy, and he's done that early in the game today.
Walker lobs it over the top to Hasse. Higgins coming over with the help defense, commits a foul.
You see Maynard trailing right at the top of the key. That's a shooter's haven right there in transition at the top of the key.
Here are the keys to the game presented by Pepsi. What are you looking for from Mercer?
Well, if you're the Citadel, you like to play a game that gets a little bit wild and up and down the floor. And I think Mercer with the size advantage, they want to play under control and get good shots in the half court. Also stay attached to the shooters like Maynard, like Jason Roach, who we talked about. If you're the Citadel, you've been down double digits in the first half of the last 2 games. You've come back to make it a battle, but they've got to avoid a slow start. And Mercer is pretty much unbeatable when they out-rebound you. When you out-rebound them, they're only 2-6. And so the Citadel, as I mentioned, a little bit undersized. You'd like to see them battle on the glass and keep that column at least close, if not win it.
It is one of the more impressive things about Mercer, how often they have won despite struggling in the rebounding column. Brown loses the handle. Takeaway for Jordan Jones. Now Hasse down the left lane line. Leaves it behind for Walker. His pass ends up in the backcourt. Maynard collects it. Shot blocked, but Clark follows for 2.
Well, that's already the second block for Jalen Johnson. You can see what kind of a factor he is athletically protecting the rim, but a good job by Clark to follow it up in transition.
To finish that point about Mercer and rebounding, for the season, rebounding margin -1.5. But in conference play, it's actually worse, -6. Rebounding margin against SoCon teams, and in spite of that, the Bears come in 3-1 in league play. So you're right, they can win even when they are out-rebounded, but if they out-rebound the opponent, they're nearly unbeatable. Clark misses the reverse. Higgins battling against Hasse, and it ends up in the hands of Glisson.
Well, those are the kind of easy looks right at the rim that you're going to have to make consistently if you're the Citadel to knock off the Mercer Bears. And I think Stephen Clark just kind of pulled the string a little bit. He had made the move and had done the hard part, but just couldn't finish it.
Hasse with a mismatch against Higgins in the post. Higgins holding his own very well. Johnson step back 3 is an air ball. Brown over the top to Clark. Clark caught it too far under the basket. That ball stays in, and Hasse able to save it for Mercer. Here come the Bears. And a traveling violation whistled against Jalen Johnson.
Well, you mentioned the mismatch in the post. Jerry Higgins, the smallest guy on the floor, guarding Felipe Hasse. And if we can see it, I think Greg Gary would like his players to see it, and a contested fadeaway jump shot from Jalen Johnson probably wasn't the end result they were hoping for.
Higgins listed at 5'10", Haase listed at 6'9". So nearly a foot difference in the roster heights, and who knows what the actual difference is. Clark off the front iron, collected by Johnson.
And if he's at least willing to shoot that shot, and if he knocks one down, it's even better, but it'll cause the opposing big to have to step out.
Clark blocks the effort from Glisson. Clark leads the conference in blocks per game, 2.6. And it sets up Roach with an open shot on the right side. Rebounded by Glisson, and now brought ahead by Jordan Jones. Offenses have stalled here in the past couple of minutes. Mercer can win in a variety of ways. This pass into Haase, kicks it out to Jones for a three. That one's good. We mentioned Mercer defeated VMI 97-91. They turned around 2 days later and won a defensive slugfest, 58-49 against the best defensive team in the conference in UNCG. So they can win in a variety of styles and paces.
And this is a unique matchup where these teams are playing each other after playing VMI and UNCG. And as you mentioned, very different styles and now getting to play one another.
Chance for Mercer to tie or take the lead. The scoring drought for the Bulldogs continues. Three-pointer by Glisson, deflected by Brown. Maynard steps into a three on the feed from Clark. Haase with the rebound and quick outlet to Jones. Jones pulls up. Haase stepped on the ice, and Rudy Fitzgibbons. So a much different lineup for the Bulldogs as Maynard, Higgins, and Brown take a seat. Meanwhile, a couple of subs for Mercer as well. We'll tell you about those in just a moment. Price finds Clark underneath. He dribbles it out, now brings it back toward the bucket, spins and banks it in.
Well, Clark's had a tough time with Haase guarding him, just finding room underneath the basket. This time matched up with Glisson and took it to him with much more confidence going high off the glass.
Javon Tucker and Jackson Greco have subbed in for Mercer. Those are the two subs for the Bears. Pass into Haase and a reach-in foul for Fitzgibbons.
Well, that's the third or fourth time now that the Citadel point guard or two guard, whatever position they're at, the smallest guy on the floor, has been stuck trying to defend Haase in the post, and this is the first time they were able to take advantage of it.
Haase hits the first. He's 83% at the foul line this year. His numbers, 15.5 points, 5.5 rebounds per game, 49% three-point shooter. And yet he has improved upon those in conference play. 21 points, which is third in conference games for scoring, and 4.7 assists per game. That's the best in the SoCon in league games so far. So he has stepped it up even further. Brown misses a three, tries to follow his shot, but Shannon Grant is there with the rebound. Now the Bears into the front court. Walker swings it across to Greco. He finds Grant all by his lonesome. Grant misses the bunny, however, and Hayden Brown tosses it ahead to Roach. Now Brown into the body of Grant and misses the shot.
You might need to check both of these rims. Those were a couple of no-footers for big guys right at the rim that just would not go home.
Tucker has his post-entry pass stolen by Brown. Brown nearly threw it away out of the scramble. Moff ends up with a layup.
Well, that few seconds of basketball will not go down in history as some of the prettiest basketball, but it works for the Citadel.
Thought we were watching the NFL Wild Card Weekend again there. There was pulling guards and people running into each other. Grant misses a dunk, and what do you know, it's going to work out for him. He'll not only get two, he'll have a chance for three.
And he gets a rebound out of that whole mess, but he's had a tough time finishing here early on, but with his size, he's always going to be able to get position underneath, and right now just struggling to finish. Well, I've got a great fact about Shannon Grant for you at some point. We'll bring that out as trivia.
All right.
And I don't think you're ready for it.
I'm never ready for it. You know that. Brown with a strong rebound. Pulls it away from Hasse.
You went rebound or steal? We'll have to watch.
That's a good point. I know how I would
Rebound.
score.
It was a rebound.
There you go. And that's why I called it as such. But you're right. Sometimes those can be up for interpretation by the official scoring crew.
Well, you see Stephen Clark check back in for the Citadel, and he has struggled with foul trouble. And so if they're able to bring a guy like Jackson Price in, and if he can give you 2 or 3 minutes, he doesn't have to do anything off the charts, but if he can be serviceable for a couple of minutes, that'll be huge for keeping Brown healthy and just to increase that depth in the front court.
Clark working against Grant, elevates and scores.
And Stephen Clark looks like a completely different player since last year, but certainly his freshman year. He's added some weight, but against a guy like the big man Grant, he's going to have a quickness advantage, but this is where he might struggle defensively.
Grant uses his frame to create some space and score. On the other end, a pass ahead to Clark. He works against Grant again. This has become the matchup. This time Clark misses and Grant seals him off. However, his outlet pass is stolen back by Clark. Roach. Rebound for Grant.
You don't see a miss like that very often from the freshman.
Not from that spot in particular. He's been really strong from the corner. Really anywhere behind the arc, but especially those corner threes. And here, Roach commits a foul on a fellow three-point shooter. Greco 46% behind the arc this year. And he will head to the line to shoot 3 and perhaps put the Bears on top when we return. The Citadel has a 2-point lead for the moment. You can see there on the tail end, Roach trying to close out and committing the foul. So 3 shots upcoming here. Greco will have a chance to tie, perhaps even give Mercer a lead. It would be the first lead of the day for the Bears if he can do so.
These are his first free throws of the season, so he finally gets to the line in game action.
And the first one rattles out. Mentioned he's a 46% three-point shooter, averages less than 4 points per game. Does average 15 minutes per game, so he's given some solid minutes to the Bears, but not relied upon for scoring as much. And the second one rattles out, or the last one we should say. So 1 for 3 on that trip, and the Citadel still holds the advantage. Brent Davis into the game. He gives it up to Clark. Davis has started all 14 games he had played in for the Bulldogs this year. Comes off the bench for the first time this season. Brown. Rebound for Johnson.
That's such a big shot for Clark and Brown when Grant is in the game. A little bit less mobile than Hasse, and if you can knock down and make him extend his defense, you'll have some driving lanes.
Tough drive and finish for Tucker for his first basket.
And the first lead of the game for Mercer as they're starting to have success going to the hoop.
Fitzgibbons. Cut off by Johnson. Finds Brown. 10 to shoot. Clark spins back to the right hand and finishes.
Great job of looking like he was going to step through and go up with the left. And then a lightning quick move back over his left shoulder for the little baby jump hook. He's got a number of tricks in the bag at this point in his career.
Deep 3 for Greco, and it is batted around and last touched by Hayden Brown. The unoccupied chair will stay down. No athletic training staff needed.
Not for long, though. We have a good Samaritan coming to take care of that front row seat.
Somebody should offer him that seat. He's standing behind the baseline.
Well, he likes that. He's got a spot right in front of the speakers.
Yeah.
And it really increases the acoustics.
Fitzgibbons saves it along the sideline. Tucker was waiting for it to go out. Nice hustle play by Fitzgibbons. His layup is blocked. And now some extracurricular, ever so slightly after the whistle between Johnson and Davis. Everything is clear now. That was a heck of a hustle play by him initially, but an even better hustle play by Johnson, who is racking up the blocks.
Well, he came in with 12 blocks. He now has 15 on the year. And, I mean, if he's anywhere behind you in transition, you've got to hear his footsteps. And, again, Tucker thought that ball was going to go out of bounds. Fitzgibbons never gave up.
Nice spinning move by Clark in the lane.
Well, he's already on his way to stuffing the stat sheet once again. 10 points, 3 rebounds, a block, and a steal already in just over 10 minutes.
Nearly had a double-double against VMI on Saturday, 12 points and 8 assists. Here's Fitzgibbons with a loose ball again. That's going to be called on the floor against Glisson.
Mercer's done a good job of defending without fouling at this point, and they're still contesting shots. Just their second foul about 11-plus minutes into the half. And just a miscommunication there. Clark thought Brown was going backdoor to the hoop, and Brown changed his mind and came up to the free throw line after Clark had let go of the basketball.
We have not had a lot of turnovers in this game, at least as far as the Citadel is concerned. That's only the third by the Bulldogs. Meanwhile, Mercer has committed 7. Both of these teams coming in with negative turnover margins on the season. Something to keep an eye on. Obviously, one team should win the turnover battle today, so those extra possessions can add up. Right now, the Citadel +4 in the turnover column. Clark closes out on Johnson, who gives it to Walker. 5 to shoot. Johnson bounces it in. Glisson drops baseline and scores.
Mercer doing a good job of finding the mismatch. Fitzgibbons got pinned behind the big man, and he was able to carve out space and put it in easily.
Fitzgibbons, step back 3. Doesn't go. He started the game 3 for 4 from behind the arc of VMI. Had some big three-pointers to keep the Bulldogs in it in the first half. All part of a game where he had an impressive 21 points.
Both teams really good from behind the arc, but just 1 for 7 to start today.
Jones tosses out to Glisson. Sends it over to Walker into Hasse. Back to Walker. Corner 3 is short for Jones. And now Fitzgibbons brings it ahead. Davis fouled by Glisson.
I thought that was actually a pretty good job. So I think if that continues to be an issue, it maybe favors Mercer a little bit with the ability to just throw it inside. But Stephen Clark has provided all kinds of offense in the paint today with 10 points on 5 of 9 shooting. And again, you see the freshman Price in the game to spell Clark, who again has been able to avoid picking up a foul at all so far in the first half. And that's good news for when you start coming down the stretch in the second half. It's not been very often that Stephen Clark gets to the second half with 0 or 1 fouls, and that could give him a little bit more freedom.
Meanwhile, that foul on Glisson prior to the timeout was his second personal, so even though Mercer only has 3 fouls as a team, that is something to keep an eye on. Glisson, one of the starters for the Bears. After the free throws, a 3-point edge for the Citadel. Low shot clock here for the Bears, having some trouble on this possession. Need to get a shot up. Walker sees that, takes the deep 3, and ties the game at 19.
I think Johnson, with the shot clock winding down, wanted to take a shot, but he ended up giving up his dribble and had no way to go with it, so he gave it to Walker. Not a great three-point shooter, but when it's desperation time, sometimes you don't think, and you'll have more success.
Even after that make, he is only 20% for the season behind the arc. Came in as an 18% three-point shooter. Higgins spins back toward the lane, gives it to Brown with 5 to shoot. Brown's 3 off the front iron. Rebound for Walker.
Hayden Brown's 0 for 6 from the field, and the Citadel's tied deep into the first half. Not bad, all things considered.
Haase, one of his first clean looks at the rim. He hits it, and he thought he was hit on the follow-through. It did appear as though that may have been the case, but he makes the shot anyway, and he is a 49% three-point shooter. Just a heck of a weapon for the big guy, who's also top 5 in the conference in a number of other statistics. Brown, a double comes quickly. He gives it up to Price, who's open. And a loose ball foul is going to go against the Citadel. It's on Hayden Brown with a shove from behind, and Brown shaken up a little bit after that contact. He did not play the entire second half against VMI. He was injured in the first half. He did return and play a few minutes in the first half after he initially left. Did not return to the floor in the second half. And here he is going to head to the sideline as the 5 for the Citadel will now be Maynard, Fitzgibbons, Roach, Clark, and Price. The Citadel picks up full court.
And Haase, such a good shooter. The South Carolina transfer scored 41 points in 41 minutes against Winthrop. That's not a bad day at the offense in terms of efficiency.
Now he has Fitzgibbons on him. Clark comes over to provide the double. Haase tosses it out to Jones. Shot clock inside of 7. Haase, Fitzgibbons holds his ground, and Greco fouled on a three-point attempt again. Second time today that's happened. The first time was Roach. This time it's Clark on the closeout.
Well, the first one was definitely a foul. This time Stephen Clark was claiming that Greco kicked his leg out into him, which, of course, nowadays, if that is what happened, should be ruled an offensive foul. We'll see if we get a look at it. I don't know if that was extended enough for it to look like Greco created the contact. Certainly he did extend the left leg a little bit, but Clark got in there close to his feet and gave the refs an opportunity to make that call. And there was a chance, sorry, Kyle, there was a chance during that possession for Fitzgibbons and Clark to switch back, and they just didn't communicate it well enough. Clark tried to switch back on Haase, but that left the big man closing out on the jump shooter.
After going 1 for 3 his first time, after being fouled on a three-point attempt, he goes 2 for 3 this time. Mercer now with its largest lead of the day. Clark fouled by Johnson as he spun toward the lane. First on Johnson.
And the issue right now for the Citadel offensively is that none of their bigs have even threatened Haase to knock down a three. They haven't made one yet, and so he's just hanging back in the painted area and providing help for everyone else.
Johnson takes away the inbound pass. Now has it in the front court. Roach jars it loose from Haase. Walker ends up with it. And how about a...
And again, it's a guy that in the scouting report you don't have to worry about from behind the arc, but he's looked comfortable knocking down a couple from the top of the key.
Certainly has. Moff leaves it for Brown on the right side. Fitzgibbons out there as well. Moff pulls up mid-range. Ball tipped out to Clark, who tried to feed it back inside to Brown, but that becomes the 5th Citadel turnover. Johnson misses a scoop shot. Clark with a quick rebound. Gets it out to Moff. Fitzgibbons' transition three is strong. Haase throws over the top to Jones. Moff challenges. Shot missed. Fitzgibbons up the floor. Finds Moff for a three. Clark with a heck of a putback.
Well, I thought he could have grabbed it and gone back up strong, and he said, well, why not just flip it up there in one motion before my feet hit the ground? He made it a high degree of difficulty, but he hasn't missed much today.
That's a shot you only see in the game 21 usually,
yeah,
where you're trying to tip it in. And Clark, 12 points, 6 rebounds for him. Great start for him. And Johnson with his first basket. It's a three.
Well, they're starting to heat up from behind the arc, and the Citadel can't find anything from deep. And you've got no points from Hayden Brown and Jason Roach combined. It's not going to be a formula for success very often.
Brown trying to change that formula. He heads to the line. He'll do that when we return. 2 shots for Hayden Brown. Mercer with its largest lead of the day. Jason, you talked about Mercer heating up. There's Walker with a 3. He has 2 during this stretch as Mercer 4 for its last 4 from behind the arc.
Yeah, and that's allowed them to really stretch this lead. And the Citadel, after each of these makes by Mercer, has come down and had a pretty good look at their own, and none of them have fallen.
The Citadel is a mere 1 for 12 from 3-point range, certainly well below its numbers in a few categories, typically 35% from the arc, but also the Citadel typically makes more than 11 3-pointers per game, so well below those metrics as Brown cuts to 7 at the foul line. He'll sub out along with Moff. Higgins and Maynard return for the Bulldogs.
And what makes it even more staggering is, if you'll remember back to the early minutes, David Maynard hit their first 3-point attempt, and since then they've missed 11 in a row.
It's a good point. I did not remember that.
Well, that's what I'm here for, Kyle.
I know. You're here for insight and memory. Johnson
and fun
misses.
Facts. Just
and
wait.
Fun facts. Oh, I'm on the edge of my seat. Here's Hasse for 3. And that's last touched by Johnson. The Citadel will have it.
Well, you see the new footwear for Jerry Higgins. A bold choice.
Yeah.
And that is bold because if you wear the colored shoes sometimes, it can make you look slow unless you're really fast. And I think he does them justice. But guys like you and I shouldn't be wearing those, I don't think.
Not on a basketball floor or anywhere else.
No, nowhere. Maybe for glow-in-the-dark bowling.
Oh, you know what? I'm in. Maynard misses a 3. Rebound to Tucker. Hasse flips it over to Johnson. Walker with a couple of 3s this half. Gives it up. Timer at 10. Tucker flashes open and lays it home.
Well, Hasse was trying to post hard that whole possession, and then he finally gave up and screened for Tucker. Fitzgibbons got caught on the screen, and that allowed Mercer to get an easy 2.
Greco commits a foul on the floor.
You know, I bet the pandemic was great for the bowling ball industry, now that we've mentioned it. I mean, nobody's wanting to use the community bowling balls.
Oh, it's a great
So
observation.
you're going to buy your own, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Now think about it.
I had not thought about it, but now that you point that out, my scoring average does go up with glow-in-the-dark bowling. I don't know if that's normal or not.
And with the bumpers.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's always true. Fitzgibbons, great move, had them up on their feet behind the baseline. Some of the cadets jumped up and really liked that. Unfortunately for Fitzgibbons, he does not close it out with the bucket.
Well, that immediately goes on your highlight reel if you make the shot.
Double team on Hasse. He powers through it to get the ball to Walker. Out to Greco for a 3. Rebound by Maynard. Final minute and a half.
Let's see
here
if the
in
Citadel
first.
can go on a mini run here to close the first half and make things a little bit more manageable.
That's a good start from Jason Roach. His first basket of the day.
The first field goal from either Roach or Brown comes 19 minutes just about into this game, and the Citadel is within 6. So I think Mercer would be a little bit disappointed to find that out, and the Citadel would be okay with where they're at.
Roach closes out hard on Hasse. Now Clark switches on to him. Hasse backs him down. Double team comes. Pass deflected, taken away by Clark. Ahead to Higgins, one-on-one. Higgins steps through, finds Fitzgibbons who backs it out. Mercer does a good job recovering defensively. And now Maynard driving, hesitates.
A new ball game.
Oh, my. Mercer is led by as many as 9, now in front by 6. In all seriousness, we do appreciate the thoroughness of the crew. They also came over and explained it. That's what they were looking at. and the ball was already out of play with a timeout called. So they do get it right. Now a kick will stop the clock at 19 here.
And the Citadel throwing a curveball at Mercer, showing a 1-3-1 zone, and now it looks like they've switched back to man-to-man. Duger Baucom trying to play a little bit of chess here at the end of the first half. I would expect Johnson or Haase to be involved here on the final shot.
Right now it's Tucker. Gives it to Walker. Still plenty of time for the Bears. Haase bluffs a handoff, takes it, misses the floater. Couple of seconds for Maynard. He fired with the same 5 as well. On Saturday, both the Citadel and VMI in this building made changes from the starting 5 to the second half lineup. But both teams with the starters out here. Mercer with the ball and the 6-point lead. Go ahead and make it 8. Quick bucket inside by James Glisson.
Good start to the half on likely a set play from Greg Gary to get them 2 underneath with Glisson laying it in.
Greg Gary, a product of the coaching tree coming out of Purdue, and boy, you hear about all the coaches just around the country that rave about anything coming out of Purdue because they have so many things that they run. The playbook is so deep. In fact, Purdue itself was playing this afternoon, and that's what one of the commentators on that broadcast said. Probably the biggest playbook of anybody in the country. And when you execute it really well, it works really well most of the time. And another three-pointer is drained for Mercer as they continue their hot shooting. And Walker is coming on strong here today as the Bears now have their largest lead of the day.
Well, if Sean Walker Jr. is going to shoot like this, it's going to be a tall task for the Citadel.
Maynard lays it in.
He was a spark early on in the first half with that early 3. Didn't score after that, and again gets the first bucket of the half for the Citadel.
Maynard battling for the ball. A foul is going to be called on Maynard as almost took it away cleanly from Johnson, but the foul goes against him. That's his first.
I thought he got to the ball first, but then maybe ran through the body and tried to hold off Johnson, and that might have been what they saw, the extended forearm.
Glisson out of the double team to Jones. And boy, it's up and down the board now for the Bears. Everybody knocking them down from distance.
Well, right now the Citadel not trusting one-on-one defense in the post, so they're doubling down hard and daring Mercer to knock down shots, and that's exactly what the Bears have done to open the half.
Clark lays it in.
I think the Citadel, the one way they could avoid that, and we talked about it when they were trying to defend Jake Stevens on Saturday, make them catch it outside of the paint. Don't give up as good a position on the catch where you have to bring the double right away.
Haase drives on Clark and scores.
Well, they're the big shoulders of Haase. He just got his right shoulder past that shoulder of Clark, and even the shot blocker at that point unable to get extended to challenge.
Brown poked away by Johnson. Johnson. Swish.
Mercer has come out of the locker room looking like a well-oiled machine. They are knocking down shots, and they're barely touching.
From the floor. Foul away from the basketball here, out of the timeout. It's on Walker, his first. Not a lot of fouls in this game altogether. In fact, the two teams, the entire game, have combined for only 14 fouls. Neither team with a lot of free throw attempts, although Mercer has 11 due to a couple of fouls on three-point shots for the Bears. Here's Roach for 3. Walker pulls it in.
That was the first rebound of the half. That tells you how good the shooting has been to come out of the break.
Difference being Mercer had 5 shot attempts. Citadel only had 2 shot attempts. That's the first miss, ironically, for the Bears this half. It was on a dunk attempt by Glisson. Here is Fitzgibbons, and he's fouled. Walker picks up his second.
Clark may get credit for a block shot on that dunk attempt, and he did. But unofficially, Mercer is 0 for 2 on dunk attempts today. Shannon Grant missed one in the first half.
Yeah.
I don't believe we've had a dunk in the game today.
I don't recall one. And you know my memory is airtight.
Never fails.
Fitzgibbons, this is the first free throw. Normally 71%. Had a lot of free throws Saturday, helping keep the Bulldogs in it. Part of his 21 points against the Cadets.
That was a big 0 for 2 from the line for a team that is last in the SoCon in free throw shooting. Chance to get within 12 and kind of stem the tide, and he goes 0 for 2.
Now Johnson has a chance to push it to 17. Instead, it's rebounded by Roach. Slings it all the way across to Fitzgibbons. Starts a drive. And called for a carrying over margin. We highlighted in the first half when Mercer at one point had 7 turnovers. The Citadel only had 2 at one point during that stretch. Since then, the Citadel has 7 turnovers. Mercer has only turned it over 1 time since then. So now it's 9-8 in giveaways by the Bulldogs. Set play, looking for a lob to Glisson from Hasse, but doesn't connect cleanly. And now Brown through the lane, draws contact, and heads to the line.
Well, and that's big because the way they're shooting in the second half, if you don't turn it over, it means you're getting a shot. And right now they're knocking them down at an incredible clip. And that's a shot right there by Hayden Brown that when things are going well, always seems to drop for him and gives him an and-one opportunity. But he's still 0 for from the field.
He makes his 3rd free throw of the day. This is something Brown has been good at throughout his career and continues to be, drawing fouls. He draws more than 6 fouls per game. He's actually top 40 in the entire nation in terms of fouls drawn per 40 minutes. 3 for 4 at the line after that last miss. And a chance for a 3-point play for Jones.
Rudy Fitzgibbons got caught underneath the basket, and Jones just muscled up through his chest. And Rudy saying, I had my hands up, what am I supposed to do? But you look at the last second, he started to kind of lean over with his arms. They dropped, and that's an easy indicator for the official. Now, you said he leads he's top 40 in the nation.
Right.
Just to be clear, that's among college basketball players, not, guys in rec leagues who probably draw many more.
Yeah. Especially in the leagues where it's call your own fouls.
Or you've got
there's no limit.
Or another team in the league refs before their game starts.
Yeah.
I've played in one of those, and let me tell you, that's a brawl waiting to happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're not joking. Roach misses. Brown puts it back. Have you ever done any officiating yourself?
I have.
Yeah.
In one of those leagues.
Okay.
Which is not fun. I've done some kid stuff, which is not as bad.
And
that was before parents tended to become an issue. That seems like more of a last 10 to 15 years thing.
I'll trust you on that. I feel that's been a since the beginning of time thing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Glisson passes it out of bounds. The Citadel has overcome double-digit deficits each game during this homestand. Against UNCG, it trailed by 15 at halftime, came back to win that game. Against VMI, trailed by 13, came back to take the lead. VMI closed it out, however, with the victory, but each time the Citadel has erased a big deficit and ultimately led at some point in the second half. This is a foul on Hasse. That's only his first, so a 16-point deficit, the largest it's been so far today. Truth be told, the Bulldogs are saying we've done this before, or at least been in the same ballpark, so Bulldogs know if the shots start dropping that things turn around in a hurry. The Citadel is still a mere 2 for 15 from three-point range today, 13%.
Now Mercer's been a team that's given them challenges going back to last year when they lost both games by at least 20 points.
Davis lost his shoe, Three players collapsed on him defensively. Davis trailing behind the play, so it's a 5-on-4. Johnson, the open man, comes up short. Davis still playing without his shoe. Moff throws it ahead to Brown. Brown, this time a foul is called. It's on Johnson, his second.
And that's the one time they'll allow a sixth player onto the floor. David Maynard sprinted into the lane when the ball was on the other end and grabbed the shoe. And that's kind of funny. If somebody else did it, like the person with the mop,
yeah,
I don't know that I've ever seen a player run onto the court. So for
not
a while
that far onto the floor.
they had a
yes.
sixth man.
Yeah, yeah, that shoe was all the way in the middle of the lane, so he had to run literally halfway across the floor to grab it.
And have you ever tried playing basketball with socks? It's not easy.
No,
because
I haven't.
You know that material on hardwood.
You're right.
Not great.
Very true. Brown trims it to 12. Jones off a ball screen from Grant. Battle in the post. Grant gains position on Brown. Double team comes from Clark, but Grant is able to find his way between Brown and Clark and still score.
Over about 10 seconds, he just continued to chisel his way under the basket, going through the chest of Hayden Brown.
Grant listed at 6'10", 280. It's tough to keep that frame out of the lane for an extended period of time when he's working against you. This time, a foul on Mercer on Johnson. He now has 3.
So Shannon Grant, let's get to this trivia
question.
question.
Oh, yes, let's do that.
Shannon Grant is from Sylacauga, Alabama.
I did know that.
He is. And
I know I did. And he also went to Sylacauga High School.
Location for a person being hit by what? The first ever documented incident of a person being hit by what happened in Sylacauga in the 50s.
Oh, in the 1950s?
That's correct.
The way the question sets up, I would have said snowball, but obviously in Alabama, probably not a lot of snow.
Yeah, I think that happened long before in the East Coast. You know, the colonies were in the snow-covered areas. So.
Well, I didn't. I was thinking my initial answer before you said 1950s. So this is recent.
I'll give you until the after 12 timeout to see if you can come up with the first documented person to be hit by.
That'll give the audience a chance to play at home as well, which we always enjoy. Greco scores it. Roach may have gotten a piece of it, but it still finds its way through. Here's Clark. Grant stumbles. Clark scores.
Well, Moff handed the ball off to Stephen Clark and then sort of ran interference, almost like a wide receiver setting on a pick play or a rub route, and his feet got tangled with that of Grant, and the big guy went down.
Jones misses the 3. Clark brings it ahead himself. Brown into the body of Grant, and an offensive foul goes against Hayden Brown.
Now, that was a documented incident of a man from Sylacauga being hit by a big man from the Citadel.
Yeah.
He did a good job of getting set and having his feet planted, obviously well outside of the arc underneath the basket.
Yeah, give Grant credit. That angle showed he did as good of a job as you can of getting in position and taking that one squarely. Foul on Clark. Jones got the shoulder past him, and Clark fouls from behind.
Well, that offensive foul, Hayden Brown's 3rd. The Citadel, for the most part, and really both teams have been able to avoid foul trouble up until this point, until Jalen Johnson picked up his 3rd. But fouls really haven't been an issue or a storyline in this game so far, and oftentimes when that's the case in the first half, maybe things tighten up a bit in the second half, and it does become a factor.
Jones at the line, only 2 for 4 on the season, but he makes the first. Fitzgibbons takes the place of Davis. So Brown stays in the game with his 3 fouls. Clark with 2. Nobody else has more than 1. Beg your pardon, Fitzgibbons has 2 for the Citadel. On the other side, 4 of the 5 starters for Mercer have at least 2 fouls. The only one with only 1 foul is Hasse. Grant pushes the lead to 15 for Mercer.
And we've just mentioned Hayden Brown had 3 fouls, so once Grant got the offensive rebound, there wasn't much he could do.
Wow, Grant engulfed Clark there on the pass. Play continues. Fitzgibbons, 3 off the back iron, rebounded by Hasse.
And the Citadel continues to be unable to buy a bucket from behind the arc. That was one of the better looks they had.
Plexed.
Well, they were close back in the studio. They were getting there.
Mm-hmm.
But Silicaga, Alabama is the location of the first documented incident of a person being hit by an object from outer space.
Wow.
A woman was hit by a piece of a comet.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And Shannon Grant's from there.
Yeah. Meanwhile, back at the farm, Mercer leads by 13. Pass deflected. 8 to shoot. Here's Walker, who has lit it up today. This time he's short. Clark with a rebound, handed to Moff. Moff lost the handle, able to save the possession. Brown into the body of Grant and draws a foul on Grant, first on the post player.
You mentioned it earlier, how many fouls he draws per game, and you saw why there. He had a guy that he's a little bit quicker than and was able to get his upper half just past the arms of Grant and then create contact with the lower body, which is going to get you to the line every time. Now the key is to continue to knock down free throws.
Only his second miss today. The free throw line has accounted for 7 of his 9 points.
I mean, if you look at it, the Citadel's a couple of fouls from being in double bonus, and we've still got just under 11 minutes to go. So that's a chance there to start to chip away at the lead with the clock stopped if you can continue getting to the line. But as we've mentioned, it's been a struggle to make him all year for the Citadel.
Walker across the timeline. Brown pokes away the pass intended for Grant. Brown. And Grant knocks it out of play.
There are certainly some guys in the paint getting their money's worth with their 5 fouls today. And to be fair to the officials, it's been consistently allowed unless it's egregious. And again, all you can ask for is consistency if you're a player.
Moff squares up, short, tried to follow his shot, but it slips past him. Greco with it for Mercer. Leaves it for Jones as we approach midway in the second half. Grant gets it out with 5 to shoot. Greco tried to sling a pass inside to Jones, but Roach read it well. Now Roach thinks about a 3. Drives instead. Clark over to Brown, into the lane. Out to Roach. This time he'll fire, and he will shoot 3. Jones commits a foul.
And there was no question about that contact. He hacked him across the elbow or the forearm, and maybe both arms. But a good job by Roach. If you watch him on offense, he never stops moving. He had a look at the top of the key, sprinted to the corner, and then as Brown drew the attendance. Drew the attention. My God. Drew the attention of the defense. Roach sprinted back to the top of the key and made himself available.
Well said.
Yeah, easy for me to say. Goodness.
Roach this season, 92% free throw shooter.
I just heard somebody in the crowd encouraging Jason Roach in between free throws. I thought they were trying to help me get through that sentence. You can do it, Jason. Yeah, no, I can't.
Third try on the way for Roach. Back iron, so he goes 2 for 3. It is down to a 10-point game. Less than 10 to go. Mercer has not scored in more than 2.5 minutes. The Citadel has not fully taken advantage, but the Bulldogs have trimmed a little bit off the margin. Here's Walker, already inside of 10 to shoot. Haase blocked from behind by Clark. Now Clark sprinting through the lane. Brown found him, but his shot is blocked and turned by Johnson.
Well, it feels like the momentum is there for the Citadel to grab, and that time Clark just got off of his wrong foot, and with Johnson hanging around, that's going to be an issue every time.
Crowd and the Citadel bench wanting a travel. Now with 5 to shoot, Walker looking to create on Clark. Misses, and that's a shot clock violation.
If Walker could have found a way to just hit the rim there, he had a couple of teammates who were in position to get a rebound, but he airmailed it, a tough contested shot. And there you see the block on the last possession by Clark, who timed it up well. But again, it just feels like the Citadel is one of their typical three-point barrages away from grabbing the momentum in this game for good, but they just cannot knock one down.
Here's Roach. Boy, that one was halfway down. And Clark commits his third foul on the loose ball.
Boy, it's just one of those nights for the Citadel. That's another good look from straight on for Jason Roach, and it was about 3/4 of the way down. And pop back out. But Stephen Clark, you mentioned he just picked up his third foul, but another really big game for Clark. 16 points, 8 rebounds, 5 blocks, a couple of steals.
Jason, offense has stalled pretty significantly. Low shot clocks and contested shots. So Greg Gary looks to draw something up. They go inside to Glisson, and sure enough, he scores just a few seconds in.
And that's why you call the timeout. It had been a mini 5-0 run for the Citadel. It could have been a lot more. It felt like a potential 10-0 run. You had the Roach 3 rim out. Clark get blocked in transition, but a good job to try and settle his team down by Greg Gary.
Fitzgibbons answers quickly.
Well, it's interesting. The bench points have been dominated by Mercer 17-6, and this is a game, remember, where 2 of the typical starting guards for the Citadel are coming off of the bench, and they've still only got 6 points from everybody that wasn't in the starting lineup.
Mercer goes inside to Glisson again, and he answers the bell again.
Well, he really hadn't been a factor since the early going, and it's like during that timeout they reinforced he has a size advantage, and they're starting to feed him the basketball.
Fitzgibbons launches. Long rebound, tracked down by Clark. Clark crosses over on Haase, spins back to that right hand and banks it in.
Now, he can finish from a number of different angles with either hand, and he will use that backboard, which is not something that a ton of post players do anymore, but he finds it and continues to keep the Citadel at least within arm's reach.
Here's Glisson. Another look inside, and this time a foul on Clark, and that is his 4th.
And again, he's standing there with his arms extended saying, what else am I supposed to do? And we'll see if he did keep those arms straight to the ceiling. And to me, that doesn't look terrible. I think a lot of that contact was initiated by the right shoulder of Glisson. Tough call. They're talking about the bench scoring falling heavily in favor of Mercer. Where the Citadel's had some success is fast break points. Mercer doesn't have a bucket in transition, and the Citadel has 8. But unless they get hot from behind the arc, and we keep waiting for it to happen, it's hard to see a road back into this game for the Bulldogs.
Glisson, an 87% free throw shooter, good on both. Mercer, second best in the SoCon in free throw percentage, behind only VMI. 77% as a team for the Bears. Here's Clark over Haase. Haase and Glisson battle for the rebound, and
that
a
might be number
foul
5.
is on Clark,
There
and he has been disqualified with 5 fouls.
That might be a frustration foul, and you're okay with that early in the game, but when you've got 4, it's been a frustrating day, and Clark missed the shot on that end and was trying to get the possession back, and now he's out of the ballgame.
You can see across the arm there on Haase.
And now this becomes a lot tougher for the Citadel without your traditional two big men. And you've got size in Haase and Glisson for Mercer.
Haase, good on the front end of a 1-and-1. He's an 83% free throw shooter. We're talking about national stats and some of those advanced analytics. Ken Palm, which does such a good job of tracking so many advanced statistics and generating some unique categories. One of them is true shooting percentage, which essentially breaks down to average percentage you'd have to shoot from two-point range, same number of shots to score the same number of points as he does. Davis misses a three. Haase with the rebound. He's 18th in the nation in that category. It's partly because of what you just saw. Good free throw shooter, good from three-point range, and then he could score inside as well. You can do all three things like that. Your true shooting percentage will excel, and he's top 20 of all of the Division I basketball players in the country in that category. Here, however, he has a pass taken away by Davis, who goes the distance to help cut into the margin a little bit more. 12-point Mercer lead here, 5.5 to go.
Well, that's always a big number that you hear thrown out there. If a guy can shoot 40% from behind the arc, 50% from the field, and 90% from the free throw line, he's a little bit under that mark from the charity stripe, but there he knocks down a three, and he continues.
I think he'll find a way to make
incredible
those points
percentage.
up. Yeah. Boy, oh boy. He's 2 for 3 today from three-point range. Maynard drives, dishes. And again, Haase has been even better in terms of the raw numbers, points and assists per game in conference play. So he's picked it up against the league. Davis misses from close range. If Haase makes his next three-pointer, he'll be shooting exactly 50% for the season from three-point range, and he'll have made 45. So it's not a small sample size.
You're talking about 90 shots.
Yeah. Instead, he feeds Glisson. Offensive rebound for Jones. Wild shot, but a foul is called, and Jones will shoot two. The whistle goes against Maynard, his second.
This has been a really good defensive performance by Mercer, and some of it can be attributed to the Citadel missing shots that we've seen them make consistently. But talking about holding a team to 50 points, that's one of the top scoring teams in the country. It's not easy. We saw that with one of the elite defenses in UNCG give up 54.5 to the Citadel. And again, it was sparked by three-pointers, and going 2 for 19 and 1 for your last 18 just isn't going to allow this team to compete and stay close, especially not win games very often.
Maynard out to Davis, who was on the line when he caught the pass.
Boy, that happens a lot. We talked about it Saturday. If there was some sort of like donation to charity every time somebody stepped on the sidelines, that would be.
It is seemingly once a game, and not just these games. I'm talking when I watch a game on
every game,
anywhere. ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN Plus, the whole family networks. You tune in to any random basketball game. If you watch the whole 40 minutes, at least one player is on the sideline catching a pass or making a jab step to set up on a pump fake and drive. It happens at least once a game. Sometimes, many times a game. Here's Maynard. He's inbounds, and he has 3 points.
Well, David Maynard has 2 of the 3 from downtown for the Citadel. Still hanging around, but you're going to need a bunch of stops on this end and some more shots to fall from the perimeter.
Johnson. Rebound for Davis. Fitzgibbons has some space, and the pass too tall for Davis. Roach recovers. Maynard was asking for his screen, and Brown was in a battle with Johnson for position. A foul goes against Johnson. That's his fourth, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. Final 3:07 coming up next. Hayden Brown awaiting his free throw attempts. 12-point game, 3:07 to go. Mercer looking to move into a tie at the top of the SoCon standings. Would be 4-1, matching Chattanooga's mark so far with a win today. Team picked fourth in the Southern Conference, both in the coaches and the media polls. Brown hits the first free throw. We've seen it, though, and sometimes it's overused with different conferences, Jason, but the SoCon truly, year in and year out, it is true. Anybody can beat anybody else on any given night. It is a heck of a conference in terms of competitive balance most nights, where anybody can go win home or away.
And the Citadel was convinced that was going to be their basketball.
Yeah. A little bit of a delayed signal, but
we're not quite at that time where such things can be reviewed.
Nope. So Mercer still with it, and the Bears get it across. Now a pass to Glisson, and he scores it before Davis could get a piece of it.
And you're just looking for points as quickly as you can get them if you're the Citadel.
Tough shot there for Davis.
No doubt about it. And you're marching uphill with a team that shoots well over 70% from the stripe.
Haase feeds Glisson. Two more for him. What a second half he has had. He's now tied for his team lead with 14 points.
Yeah, the junior from Decatur has been massive in this second half.
Maynard's shot blocked by Johnson, his fifth block of the day. Glisson adds that to his game.
He has been a big-time matchup problem for the Citadel in this one. He averages double figures, but a huge game for Glisson.
Now the team's leading scorer with 16. Only person with more is Clark, and he's done for the day. 18 points, 9 rebounds, 5 blocks. Nice stat line for Clark, but he fouled out with more than 6 minutes remaining. Glisson closing in on a double-double himself, 16 points and 9 rebounds. Meanwhile, we mentioned the 5 blocks for Johnson. That's a career high for him. He had never had more than 3 in a game prior to today.
Well, part of that might be the competition he was playing in the SEC and the ACC. A little tougher to rack up those big block numbers against some of those athletes.
True. Still more than half of the season in the books here.
Hey, it's a great point,
yeah.
Kyle. There was no ill will towards your staff.
Johnson does have another three-pointer as well, so he's made at least one three-pointer in 15 straight games. This is a jump ball that gives the basketball to the Citadel. Johnson, the grad transfer from Wake Forest, as Jason alluded to, one of 4 newcomers on this Mercer team. And this Mercer squad looks strong. 15-point lead approaching the final minute. Fitzgibbons knocks it down from the elbow. Again, both teams will be in action Wednesday on the road. Turnover forced here. Mercer will be at ETSU while the Citadel will travel to Wofford. And for both teams, that will be game number 6 in a 15-day stretch. Quick catch and shoot by Davis. Rebound for Fitzgibbons. Out to Brown for a 3. That's good. Haase trapped after the initial catch. Throws it across to Jones into the front court to Walker. Mercer will gladly run the clock down. On its way to a 4-1 start to conference play. Greg Gary in his third year has this Mercer squad looking good. That was deflected as a reason there was not a violation there on the Bears. Now Davis rims down a 3 and a time-point lead. The Citadel now out of timeouts. Johnson gets it into Walker. Double team is applied. Years as a coach and now has his team on the doorstep of 11-7, 4-1. This is a tough team with everything they run, and they execute it well. It's a tough team to prep for, certainly a tough team to prep for on one day as the